where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pilecki goes, dives onto the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys. Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pilecki. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. You know, it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Nuna Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernot. Gernot will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Put together vintage cars and the Nurburgring. I hate to disappoint, but while most would expect the monstrous Nordschleife to be what's on our plate today, it is instead the modern GP course on tap. That won't mean the challenge has been sucked out of this race, because with the incredible commitment required in fast corners and the tiptoe soft throttle pedal required in slow corners, our drivers are surely going to be tested. We'll see who can take away the checkered flag as we get ready to watch round 5 of the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Young. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Adam, it isn't 12 miles long, but the GP course still fits well with these old F1 cars.
It really does. I mean, we're still expecting a very competitive race out there here for today. And of course, Nurburgring, I mean, the Nurburgring itself, the Nordschleife and stuff like that doesn't really need a lot of introduction. But the Grand Prix circuit, of course, this is where they run the modern day F1 cars. And known for being pretty technical out there. Granted, they've shaved some sections off of it over the years in the name of safety. We're going to be running the 16-turn layout here for today, 3.2 miles, 5.15 kilometers. We're going to go 24 laps around this place. So, as I mentioned, Joe, we're looking for a pretty competitive race out there. Let's go ahead and take a lap around in the Lotus 79 machine.
All right, we've got Juha Norlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around the Nürburgring. Coming down the front stretch, you've got a great passing opportunity coming up with Haug Hook. It can be a little tricky though, both because of the kink in the braking zone and the sharpness of the apex, which can cause you to lose sight of where the other car is. There's not much time to think afterwards because we're now into the newer Mercedes arena. These are slow and technical corners, so this will mostly be a single file section of track. Plus, the Lotus isn't a fan of low speed corners, so be very careful with the throttle since it'll be easy to loop the car while trying to get the power down. Once you're safely out of there, you've got a bit of a stretch down to turn 6. This corner is deceptively fast, and yet you'll want to hug the inside on the exit so that you set yourself up better for the forward curve. Being able to get on the gas early will be important since the track now plunges downhill towards the Dunlop hairpin. It seems like it should be easy to attempt passes into here, but they wind up being pretty difficult to execute. The banking certainly allows a lot of speed to be carried. Just be sure not to get the wheels off into the gravel on the outside so that you can get a good launch out of it. Drift it across the track, and that takes us into the Schumacher S. A little breathe on the throttle should get you through, then once again bring it across the track. If you can withstand the dirty air on the lead-up, passes can be possible into turn 11, but as soon as you're out of the corner, you've got to get ready for the Bilstein curve. This medium speed bend is extremely important to the lap. Failing to get a decent exit off of here will put you in a disadvantage on the run up to the Vidal chicane. Expect the draft to give an opportunity to the car behind to close up on you. Try to straighten out the kink on the backstretch as best you can, and then heads up for this last chicane. This is the quicker version compared to the GP course, so you won't be doing as much braking and you won't want to try to go into here side by side. The final hairpin comes up fast, and there usually isn't much in the way of chances to pass into here. It's more about getting a run off the corner to set yourself up into turn 1. But hopefully, you've now finished a lap around the Nürburgring.
There you see a lap around the GP course as the drivers trundle in here. Obviously, it takes a little bit to load the Nürburgring here on iRacing, but it's worth it because, boy, what a track. While we're waiting for everybody to get in, let's take a look at the points championship and see what we have in store so far after 4 rounds. Adam Frazier up at the top of the driver standings. Nuno Moreira giving close chase. Look at that, 13 points. Considering it's, well north of 100 points for a win. 13 means nothing around here. Matt Wood jumps up to 3rd position there with Sam Doby up to 4th and Ryan McCusker, look at that, 5 points up to 5th. So a number of drivers at the lower part of our top 5 are jumping forward by huge margins. What about the teams championship? Adam, how's that looking?
Yeah, we'll pull that up here. And the team championships, of course, the Equipe Tableau Jantes with the Canadian Lemonin and American Frazier up over 29 points over the Tag Williams Racing team. So they're doing pretty good out there here for the season. Really, right now, at this point, that race is for second. I mean, they've got a good tight battle going on there from second all the way back to 5th, only separated by 11 points. So that'll definitely be something we'll follow here for today.
Undoubtedly. And if you've never watched one of these races before, why don't we go over the race details? We are in round 5, as we mentioned. Now, they do get drop weeks involved in these. They have 4 drop weeks on the driver's side and 2 drop weeks on the team side. So if you make mistakes, you can try and bounce back from it. The race length today, as Adam mentioned, is 24 laps, but they are going to be ticked off relatively quickly with about 1:45 there on the lap times. Now, you should not expect anybody to come in for a scheduled stop. These cars, just like they did in 1978, really didn't need to stop for fuel so drivers can fill up to make it the whole way. The setups are open, though, and it can make some difference in the lap time, but drivers really will be wanting to get that suited more to their driver's style than anything, as we see Nuno Moreira just took the fastest lap in qualifying. They won't have a spare car out there today, with this being B-class racing here on iRacing. And taking a look at the weather, this looks pretty ideal out there, Adam.
It does. I mean, weather here for today, a little bit better than what the real-world Germany looks like right now. Air temperature at 67, partly cloudy skies. Winds out of the south at 13 miles an hour. Now, those winds out of the south, that might upset the cars just a little bit, but overall, still won't be too bad. These high downforce machines usually tend to handle that okay.
Certainly does. And Juha Norlampi back in competitive once again. He's on the challenge to try and take the pole away from Nuno Moreira. His first lap not quite there, 2 100ths behind Nuno at the moment. And Juha is on his second lap to see what he can do. So is Nuno. And Nuno is farther ahead on the course, so he'll be the first across the line between the two to see what he can do. Don't forget Jarno Frisch, one of the drivers that tends to win races here in this series, actually has the number 1 on his car. So certainly expect him to be up there today, Adam.
Yeah, and of course, got a couple other fast guys as well. Pretty competitive field. Of course, Jarno, as you mentioned, with that one on the side of that old school Marlboro machine. Nuno Moreira. Nuno actually right now taking the lead on the provisional leaderboard here for the pole.
Indeed, and as he crosses the line, he does improve by 1/10. So that's going to set the marker a little bit farther for Juha. And actually, Juha has abandoned his lap. So I guess his second one, he must have had an off or is simply not happy with it. Frisch is coming to the line now as we ride on board with that number 1 coming around Coca-Cola. A 1:42.6. He's a lot farther back from our pole sitter. Let's see what he can do. This time he improves by 3/10, which is not enough to jump him up any position. So 3rd will be the best we'll see from him. See Michel Vandenberg going to be our next one by, sitting in 5th at the moment, a 43 flat. Let's see what the next one holds for him. A 42.8, so he jumps up to 4th. See who else is due to come across. Here's Adam Frazier at the moment. And it looks like he's started his lap a little late. Braden Cohen going to be the next one across the line. He hasn't set a single lap yet, and actually he has done 2 of his laps. Both of them had off tracks and did not count. So he will start at the back of the field. Marco Sanfilippo has abandoned his after 2 tries. And it looks like our grid is set, judging by all the times out there. So, all right, let's go through our starting grid. Nuno Moreira is going to be on the pole with Juha Norlampi flanking him. This will be a nice fight, especially considering right behind them, as we mentioned, Jarno Frisch starting in 3rd and Michel Vandenberg. 4 titans, basically, in this series up at the front. Don't forget Matt Wood. He'll be starting in 5th. He can sometimes sneak in there and get podiums as well as the rare win. Julien Fleuret starts in 6th with QC Clapp starting 7th. Alex Millward will be P8 at the drop of the green with Danilo Sanfilippo starting in 9th, and Joachim Bodeker will be starting in 10th. Adam?
Yeah, going to 11th on the grid. The back half of the field starts with Pablo Suarez. He'll be, or excuse me, Barry West in the 11th slot, starting the inside of row 6. Outside of row 6, Glenn Corrigan. Row 7 is going to belong to Daniel Gusto. Derek Rolva in 14th position. There's Pablo Suarez in 15th. John Stevens in 16th. Marco Sanfilippo in the inside of row 9. Adam Frazier starting in the back, was not able to get down the time as you saw, and Braden Cohen starting shotgun on the field.
And if you're wondering why it's a little bit smaller than what we may have seen in other races, well, they did have a split today, and this is the top of the 2 splits. For those that don't follow iRacing, drivers can sign up for the time slot, and then they sort them by their iRating. So these are all the top drivers in this series competing for even more points than usual here, with the strength of field being higher up. Matt Wood out to the grid. We're just waiting for the rest of the cars to make sure that they've got their race setup in it. As we mentioned, the fuel, one of the things that they need to watch out for in these cars, because they won't be stopping, so you got to make sure you have the right fuel level out there in the car. There we see them on the grid. Just a few more left to go here at the notorious Nurburgring. You can see all the wonderful facilities that have been put into this place to upgrade it, to bring it to modern spec here for the GP course. Very different story over at the Nordschleife, where it's very old school in many ways, including the viewing conditions, which is a lot of just sitting on a hillside. As the engines start to rev and the lights come up, it's round 5 here in the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship. Green flag is out, and Nuno Moreira gets a horrible start. Already, Juha Norlampi swamping him, along with Jarno Frisch looking to the inside, down into the Haug hook. This is a very sharp corner. Already contact at the front of the field. This is not going to be good. Cars getting stacked up, trying to go the long way around. A little bit more contact. Somehow, at least most of them make it through, but not all of them through without damage. Through the Mercedes arena, this is going to put Norlampi up in the lead. QC Clapp now inherits 2nd place. Alex Millward moves himself up to 3rd. Julien Fleuret to 4th, and Matt Wood still in 5th after all of that. Down through Valvoline and into 4. This is great news for Juha Norlampi, who finds himself absolutely streaking away from the pack, and we haven't even finished a lap. It's over 2 seconds between himself and Clapp down through the Dunlop curve. Most of the field single file after that fracas that we saw in the Haug hook.
Yeah, that definitely makes this field go topsy-turvy. It's amazing that Nuno Moreira didn't lose more spots than what he did there right off the bat, but still, he's finding himself mired in this field already spread out here, and we haven't even completed the first lap.
Fans of Jarno Frisch, bad news is he had to take a tow from the damage of that first lap incident. There we see Frisch down on the pit lane already as we take a look at the replay into the first corner. Now, Adam, I thought that we'd have a bit of a stack up. I didn't think it would happen at the very front of the field, where we've got some supremely talented drivers. This is a surprising mistake.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's not atypical though of the Nurburgring with that really tight first-hander too to have some problems here. I mean, see it in all different classes of cars too and everything. But still, though, I mean, it could have been a lot worse, but it could have been a lot better for sure.
We're going to watch from onboard Jarno, and I don't want to put the blame on him. It just looks like the three wide situation that he caused was unintentional, and unfortunately that tiny little tip of the number 3 is what caused most of the chaos that we just witnessed. So first lap is already done, and right now we got a good battle for 9th between Suarez and West. They're shortly behind, or excuse me, no, it's Suarez and Frazier that's in a battle for 10th place, as it's Frazier trying to take that away. He's going to have a good chance coming down to the Dunlop curve. He's got a great run, jumps out of the slipstream, outbreaks him into the hairpin, and makes it look easy. So as those positions swap, you now have Frazier 10th, Suarez 11th. Nothing's changed with the podium since we last checked. It's still Norloppy first, Clapp second, and Millward in third. Clapp started this race all the way down in 7th, Millward in 8th, Fleuret in 6th. This is a great opportunity for these guys to steal some points away. As we watch the last of the podium stream around Coca-Cola. A little bit of a battle behind them between Vandenberg and Nuno Moreira. Moreira, who started on the pole, has really got to be regretting that horrible start he had off the line, Adam.
Yeah, you know, and it's it's just one of those things that that sometimes the racing gods just don't shine fortune your way, and you know, being mired back. I mean, he could be a lot worse than 7th. I mean, he's lucky he didn't pick up any kind of significant damage out there.
Yeah, as we ride on board with Moreira right now, don't see anything on the front of the car at least. It looks pretty clean as he chases Vandenberg and Fleuret. Vandenberg's got a good run down into Valvoline. So hard to pass cars into that downhill left-hander. Can't quite pull it off. Switching back through Ford, and now he's under attack. Here comes Moreira, the Iberian driver, hanging right in his tire tracks. Does not poke his nose out until very late into Dunlop. Oh, and a late defense from Vandenberg. He's got to be careful how late he jumps off to the side like that. Through the Schumacher S now, as he's definitely lost touch with Fleuret. Vandenberg doesn't go defensive down into turn 11. Moreira still poking his nose out, looking for a chance to get by. He is clearly faster, but can't quite seem to find a solid place to pass. Through the kink, uphill towards the Vidal chicane. Not as hard of a braking zone in this layout. They're using the faster walk pond version, the WEC version of this track. Both cars just sliding off the apex there in Coca-Cola, but Moreira still finds the power off the corner. Momentum going back in favor of Vandenberg down the front stretch. Haug Hook could offer a pass to chance for Moreira. He finally sticks his nose out this time. Much better on the brakes. Tries to stay out of the car ahead as Julien Fleuret almost chops his nose off.
Dangerous move for this early in the race.
Well, like you said, with him this far back, he's got to start making progress. I just think he didn't think he would make that much. Oh wow! Get that close to the next car up. He was so focused on Vandenberg instead. Fortunately, Friesch has retired. He said to the chat, "Not much I could do there." So he seems to have felt bad for the incident. Ooh, as we look at Norloppy, the battle between Moreira and Fleuret getting close. Now that he's overtaken Vandenberg, he almost got into the back of him through Dunlop yet again. Down into 11. Julien Fleuret may have found himself by a stroke of luck up to 5th position here, but he could easily get demoted 2 spots. Looking to the inside, here comes Moreira, just using that slipstream. Easily by into the Vidal chicane. Moreira now back up to 5th after his setback at the start. Down the front stretch, Norloppy still showing this field how it's done. He's got 3.7 seconds over QC Clapp. He just set the fastest lap of the race. A little bit of a look to the inside there from Vandenberg on Fleuret, but can't do anything with it in the Howard Cook. And now they try to tiptoe their way through the Mercedes arena. Expect Vandenberg, with the speed that we've seen in past seasons, should be able to try and do something with the black machine, the number 5 car of Julien Fleuret. The French driver has done well to try and hold these guys off. Hasn't made aggressive defensive moves. Down they go into the Dunlop curve one more time. Haven't really been missing much up at the front. I know we've been focusing on this battle quite a bit, but this has really been the closest battle on track.
Ooh, and I'm watching Juha Norlampe here, and he just about lost it there. Back end really stepped out on him. He's able to catch it, but our leader, I don't think he's handling as well as he'd like to be right now.
Let's take a look at this replay. It's out of the Schumacher S, coming down to 11. Is this where the car breaks away on him? Ooh, nice catch. Didn't even use the runoff, though. The Preacher is something else. So we come back live. There you see the gap has continued to extend. This time did not set the fastest lap, though. That little bit of a mistake going to prevent him from going purple yet again. Only on lap 6 of this race, and it's looking like it's going to be a romp for the Finn. Let's jump back a little bit farther down the field. Looks like Barry West and Pablo Suarez in 11th in a nice little fight. West there in the red Ferrari, sporting some damage on the front wing. That's going to make it difficult to keep his speed up. Suarez as well, very similar damage on the front of the car. Coming through the Mercedes arena, if these two start battling, they've got Braden Cohen. Didn't get a lap time in, but boy, the progress he has made, up to 13th position after being 19th on the field.
And don't forget there, with riding along with Braden, he's got a couple of cars in front of him that were caught up in that melee right there off the grid that do have damaged front wings and running slightly off the place, that being Pablo Suarez and Barry West. So he very well could get a couple more positions out of here if he just plays his cards right.
Yeah, I expect he's going to be hunting these two down, especially if they begin squabbling out of the Dunlop curve. Actually got a very good battle behind them, very close between Corrigan, Bodeker, and Stevens, swinging it through the Schumacher S. Look at this string of cars all together. Bodeker pokes his nose out down into 11, a very late move. They come together. Bodeker saves the car, but behind him, trying to avoid the mess, Marco Sanfilippo unfortunately loses a spot, trying to keep out of the incident. All right, let's take another look at this. This was very, very late, and it did not pay off. Fortunate for the car of Corrigan, he did not suffer from that dive bomb, but the Diach driver of Bodeker finds himself multiple positions down now after that. Woo. We come back live. You saw at the top of your screen, Nuno Moreira, purple lap for him. Now that he's been freed from the battles with Vandenberg and Fleuret, he is on a mission. He's already caught Matt Wood. And you can see Wood in the Marlboro McLaren. Nuno Moreira and the number 3 started on the pole if you're just joining us. He had a bit of an incident in the first lap. Journal Frisch was involved in it, as well as numerous other cars. I have to be too long to list all of them. So many just unfortunately piling in behind. It's a very blind first corner and just could not see the stack up that was happening in front of them. Already Moreira closing in to within half a second. Not going to be close enough to attempt to pass into the Vidal chicane this time by. Unfortunately, we've been having a couple technical issues with Adam, so we've brought in our super sub, Steph Schlacker. Oh, and just as that happens in the background, Nuno Moreira loses it through the Vidal chicane. We're going to watch the replay here, Steph, and a bad day just went worse for the Iberian.
Yes, and very did also a short welcome everyone from me, as I have to sub in here, and Nuno just taking too much curb on that first part of the Vidal chicane and completely losing his car, gladly not taking any damage to it.
Yeah, well, one thing too here, real quick, as right when they went to replay, Braden Cohen actually got into the back of Barry West as he's got in that West and Pablo Suarez battle.
And saw Gattuso also struggling with that Vidal chicane there. Now we're watching Braden Cohen with his incident side by side in front. They seem to have sorted out, but comes back to the line at the last second there. That obviously threw off the Virginia's driver with severe damage on the front. As we come back live, a lot of action happening here in the middle of round 5 for the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship. Heading up to 6th position, Fleuret has lost touch with Vandenberg, and now he's under attack from Adam Frazier, who's run him down. Just can't seem to get away from the action. Steph, I know you're just jumping in here, but boy, Julian earned a lot of spots from the opening incident, and it seems like they're slowly bleeding away from him.
Yes, sometimes you're lucky, but sometimes your luck runs out, and that's exactly what happens for Julian right now. He had so much luck in that first incident, but it seems like he doesn't have the pace to stay up where he was already. But still, if he just manages his race, he is gonna finish in a great position.
Yep, I'd say that having started in 6th and down to 7th, he's not at too big of a loss right now, and we've seen so many drivers have trouble around this tricky Nürburgring GP course, including Adam Frazier. Right after he makes a pass, he slips out from under himself here at the Howard Cook. Let's watch this. These cars just don't seem to like low-speed corners, Steph.
No, and the problem that comes into is that the first turn has a massive drop-off in the middle of the turn. So you really gotta stay on your toes, especially in this car.
You see, Frazier continues on in 7th. This has really spread out a lot of our top drivers, and as I say that, Nuno Moreira is already back up on Fleuret. He's got to be wondering, how many times am I going to have to deal with the same driver? The number 3, for the second time today, is having to go on the attack on the Frenchman.
Well, you can say this from two versions. Either Nuno, how often do I have to get past this guy? And then Julian, you're the one guy who laughs in his own fist and saying, you make your mistakes, I'm gonna pass you again.
Yep, slow but steady wins the race, as they say. Here with lap 9 heading up to the Vidal chicane, Nuno Moreira just poking his nose out a little bit. I don't think a serious attempt. He knows he's a little too far back. Just gonna stay in line through that final corner, now up to Coca-Cola. This is gonna be a great opportunity if he can just get the power down off the corner.
And he does, but one thing I've already noticed is that Julian runs a lot of downforce, so you can see that he is not very comfortable in this car yet. And that is always then the option to go with more downforce. You're more stable with the setup, and don't have to worry about your setup while you have to fight with the other guys. And Nuno, already experienced driver in this car, he knows the stuff, and you can see how he's gaining, especially in turns and on straights, where it really counts to be fast.
Just staying right tucked under that rear wing is Nuno Moreira. Not able to run a full schedule this season. If you did get a second at Silverstone and Interlagos, both of them behind Norlampi, looks set to win this one. Also took a win in Monza, did Moreira. And a bit wide at the Dunlop curve for the Frenchman, is going to easily hand it over to Nuno.
All right, and as we jump back here to Barry West, who leads a field of, I think that's 6 cars in total, or it's actually 7 cars in total, fighting here all together for P12, and it's just fighting all over the place right now.
Yeah, Gattuso made a dive and got a position away from Corrigan in that corner that separated them from the pack up ahead. It's also stacking them up behind. See, Corrigan had to get out of it. Bodeker, who made contact with Corrigan a few laps ago, is hunting him down for the second time. Marco Sanfilippo also trying to get into this mix. It is an absolute snake as they exit out of Bilstein, up the hill one more time. Oh, great run here from Stevens. Stevens with a steam of power. Looks
just
like
gliding past.
Yeah, makes it look easy. Stevens moves himself into 12th now, having overtaken Barry West up to the Vidal chicane. Take a look at the replay. Wonder if there's a straight line speed problem, because as we go to this replay, West is losing yet more positions.
Yes, the problem is Barry West is very hurting, probably from the first incident with a very bent rear wing. So that is really hurting his straight line speed here.
Yeah, there you can see on the screen, West just in horrible shape and is losing position after position. It's now Gattuso behind him in the number 15, seeing if he could do anything with him. The Italian probably going to get a chance on the next long run, which basically going to be down to the Dunlop hairpin.
Basically, yes, but you still have to get a good exit here, even though with the damage that Barry has.
Let's see if they get a good exit. Daniel does, but is it going to be enough? He's gaining, looks to the inside. Yeah, not quite close enough.
Not close enough, no.
Boy, great action here at the back of the pack. And what I love about this, Steph, is that even though it's toward the bottom of the field, these guys are really fighting for it. They are just going for it.
Yes, and they have found each other a very good pack here, because even though they're fighting, they're still doing 47 lows, so it still is a great battle to see.
At the top of the screen, you saw another fast lap for Nora Lampi. Battle at the top of the field is getting a little close too. Matt Wood closing in on Millward, and he's brought a friend along, the number 4 of Michelle Vandenberg.
And looking at the lap times, Michelle behind them is the fastest guy of the three, catching Alex by a full second, and even Matt by 0.8 of a second.
Oh, and did something happen to Gattuso? Oh, Filippo. Danilo Sanfilippo had an issue.
Oh, he was helped there.
Adam Frazier into the Mercedes arena. Just a little bit of miscommunication under braking and sends the pink machine out into the runoff.
I actually think that Danilo missed a shift there.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He slowed so much down right there.
Does this car have many problems with the gearbox, especially if you have an H shifter?
No. It's just you can even full throttle while you put the clutch in to upshift. It makes no difference. I just think he either shifted into the wrong gear, or he forgot to shift.
Whatever the case, that sends him a little bit backwards. Another fastest lap from Nora Lampi as the fuel burns off. But look at the battle for third. Michelle Vandenberg on Matt Wood. This is actually for 4th position. Looking down to the inside of the Howard Cook, and that almost looks like a wave by there by Matt Wood, letting him through.
I think Matt saw that there was no reason to fight there and try to stay with Michael to get up to Alex and maybe also try to overtake him.
Yeah, that's the other thing I love about these vintage series here on iRacing. Go ahead. Oh, Bodeker with a problem. This looks like Coca-Cola. Is it maybe coming out of Vidal that caught him out? See, side by side. Not sure who this was with. Oh, a little bit too much curb.
Oh yeah, wow, that is way too much curb there. Actually running aground on the curb and spinning out.
Low slung cars, they get a lot of their downforce from being stuck to the road and using the ground effects, so really don't want to raise the ride height by getting up on those curbs. Still half the race left to go here in round 5 of the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship. But what I was going to say in that battle for 4th where Wood just waved him by, that's the other thing I love about this series, Steph, is that even the way the drivers drive these cars feels like it did in the 70s, where there's a little bit of kind of a gentlemanly attitude of thinking bigger than just running everybody as hard as you can.
I think with these cars you have to be a gentleman, otherwise you're not going to make it to the end.
As we go to 11th place, this is the battle between Cohen and Stevens. They were at the front of that train earlier on. Stevens on the attack on Cohen, makes easy work of the driver who started dead last on the field, but has found himself up to 12th. Behind them, they've got Derek Roelveld trying to see if he can peel one away as well.
Now, interesting development here. Now that they're all clear of Barry West, suddenly Derek and John up their pace by a full second. Oh, that was close.
Shot to the rear on Derek, as Cohen did not expect him to come back to the racing light like that. He's still going to fight him for the spot. Can't quite get it away. Outbreaks him coming down into the last part of the Mercedes arena, and as the track switches back, I now think it's finally solidly 12th place, the number 19.
What?
Watch on board on the replay here. Oh yeah, he moved in front of him way late.
The interesting part here, he did not gain any damage from it. So the damage you see on the screen is already from an earlier incident, probably from turn 1, I'm gonna guess.
Let's jump up to the podium. Now, we've been following Alex Millward being chased by both Vandenberg and Wood for a while. Neither is able to get by him so far. But big credit to Alex. He's another one, much like we saw with Julian, that inherited these spots as it might finally go away from him down the front stretch. Inside for Vandenberg.
Not
this looks
up.
like... Ooh! Wow.
He's not giving up.
Vandenberg nearly got into the side of him. He braked so late. Good job to Michelle for managing not to make contact. But I was going to say, Alex, similar to Julian, inherited these spots, but unlike Julian, he has been keeping pace. He's not really lost ground to these guys very quickly.
No, and he is still doing his qualifying laps, which makes me want to guess that he qualified with race fuel. Because his last lap was a 44.1 and he qualified with a 43.6, so that isn't all that far away.
Through the Dunlop curve, Vandenberg on the hunt, seeing if he could pull the position away from Alex Millward. Through the Schumacher S, the UK&I driver, seeing if he can snag a surprise podium here. Right now, these two very much where the battle is, because Matt Wood just a little bit too far away from the action.
Oh yeah, by the way, in 6th we have a familiar face coming up again. It's Nuno Moreira, closing in onto the guys ahead by 2 seconds a lap. So if they're gonna keep fighting here, Nuno is gonna be there, and he is gonna be there fast.
Our pole sitter has got to be hungry to get a result here today. Again, not really fighting for the championship because of struggling to work with the schedule. So have to imagine he really doesn't care about just a good points finish. He wants to get up as high as he can around the Haug Hook yet again. This time, no try from Vandenberg. Was not quite close enough. We ride on board with the Benelux driver. Judging by the 33 and the logo on the top, I'm going to take a wild stab and say that he's Dutch.
Well, that's a very wild guess, yeah.
As he follows in line down through Valvoline. Now 9 laps to go. The laps are starting to tick away. If he wants to get by, he's going to have to start doing something soon.
Yes, but not only the laps are his enemy, but also 6th place Nuno Moreira. He has now the back of Matt Wood. And if he's gonna come, if Michael isn't able to get by Alex in this lap or next lap, Nuno is gonna be there, and I think that Nuno will have the pace over Michael.
Yeah, from what we've seen, even after multiple mistakes, the number 3 car has made easy work of the rest of the field, being as far down as I think 9th was the lowest we saw him. Taking his time though on Matt Wood. Do you think the arrow wake is a little bit tough to follow in places around this track?
I don't think so. The corners are fast, but not fast enough for that. So, as Michael comes again, and this time he will try to do the dive bomb. Let's see if he can stick it. Oh, that was a touch.
And yet again, Alex Millward is the one that comes away clean of the two, but look at the pass behind them. Here comes Moreira working the hard way around on the outside of the Mercedes arena. Can he find the grip? Almost chops the nose off of Wood.
Oh, Michael.
Michel, either a damaged car or the red mist, whatever the case, the rear lost grip. You're going to see he'll come around. This starts here. For the second time today, he outbrakes himself. This time it does not go as well. Looking very Verstappen-esque there.
Yes, he just tried to take too much speed into the exit of the Mercedes arena and spun the car around.
Yeah, overcorrected. You can see there on the replay. And thankfully, there's paved runoff there. But the car's got to be damaged because he just had another spin coming out of Dunlop, and he takes a tow. Oof, what could have been for Michel starting this race in 4th position, looking at a podium, and just can't come away with it.
Well, the thing here is, Michael, he would have been clean, but Netcode said no to him and made him touch the rear of Alex. Alex in front of him. And yeah, without the Netcode, there wouldn't have been a touch. So very unlucky for Michael there.
We were taking a look at our top 2 drivers, so we really haven't put the cameras on much. That was Norlampi still leading if you're just joining us. And how about QC Clapp? A quiet race, which I'm sure he's appreciative of after that chaotic start. Having qualified in 7th, he is looking at a 2nd place with nobody in sight.
You gotta hand it to him. You qualify in 7th, yes, fine, but you get up by wreck into 2nd and then be able to hold it. Just very good driving from QC, and just you gotta have to hand it to him because it is not an easy job to stay in 2nd after a wreck.
Speaking of not an easy job, Millward, who has fended off all comers, now has Nuno Moreira. But it seems like Nuno's been a little bit mistake-prone, like we just saw a mistake from Millward going wide at Dunlop, and that brings Moreira even closer into that rear wing.
And I don't think that Nuno will take as long or as many tries to overtake Alex as Michael did, because Nuno is even a notch faster than Michael on the straights. So we might even see the pass right now into Vito.
Ooh, he's got a slipstream. This is a very fast portion of the circuit. He's going to duck to the inside. Ooh, a little bit of a late defense. I'm sorry, but the horses are already out of the barn. Whoa. But look at how late he's braking.
Wow. Alex with the balls of steel there.
You think he wants his 3rd place?
Oh, he wants it very badly.
And Nuno Moreira wants it too. He's going to look to the inside. Now, this didn't work for Michel, but he's much farther ahead. Almost squeezes Millward off the track. Breaking into the first corner.
Nope.
Yeah, he just has no response here. And all this fighting has meant Matt Wood has clawed both of them in, sitting in the popcorn position and ready to pounce. Tell you what, though. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. You don't even need a popcorn watching this. The action is all enough already.
And there's certainly no team orders there between Millward and Morera. You can see them sporting the same colors here in the CTC Championship. As not the same case for Matt Wood. Going to have a little bit harder time, possibly. Maybe Millward not as interested in having his teammate have an accident due to too hard of a defense. And already, wow, look at how fast Morera dropped him. You were right about that pace difference.
And now the interesting thing is now Matt has to rear off Alex. What will happen between them? Because they have very similar pace. So this fight is very interesting because we won't be able to see some very big gains in the draft. So Matt really has to be very close to Alex to make something happen.
Could see decided not to go for it in the Vidal chicane. This is where we've seen a lot of passes down the front stretch. Horrible corner in Coca-Cola from Matt Wood. He's going to be way too far back.
Now, it wasn't, I would say it was an average corner for Matt, but Alex just incredible exit speed from him there out of Coca-Cola.
Still going to hang on the rear of him, down to 5 laps to go. This is the battle for fourth now that Morera has got himself onto the podium. Fans of Nuno probably not going to see him go any higher. He's got about 7.5 seconds up to QC Clapp in second place with these few laps left. Unless we see a mistake from QC, it's most likely going to be as you see now for the podium up at the top of your screen. Down in 9th place. Ooh, action happening right now. Suarez and Stevens and Derek all close together.
And if someone makes a mistake, Daniel Guduso isn't far away either, so they really have to be careful about what they do here. As Derek takes the run up, let's see if he tries something into the next turn. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, Stevens was very vulnerable, but so hard to pass into Valvoline now as they come out of Ford, the long right-hander, plunging downhill all the way to the bottom here at Dunlop, but they're all just going to stay in line as they work their way around the banked right-hander.
As Stevens got a run here into the Michael Schumacher S, but I think if there is a place where you can feel a little bit of aero wash in these cars, it's gonna be the Michael Schumacher S because it's so tight, but yet so fast. So if you experience a little bit of...
We got a pass for fourth. Millward and Wood are side by side right now, heading to the Mercedes arena. Millward tries to fend him off. Over-under attempt. It doesn't quite go off for Wood. Take a look at that one more time since we came in right in the middle of the action. Great side-by-side battling. Wood, last second, surprises him, sends it up the inside. Does he outbrake himself? Wow. That is phenomenal stuff from both drivers. Respectful and fair, but hard driving.
And what we saw there into turn 1, that is exactly what Matt has to do to get by Alex because they have so similar speed. Last lap around, there was barely a tenth between the 2 lap times of Matt and Alex.
Now down to 4 laps to go. That attempt didn't work for Matt. He's got to recollect himself. You can see up at the top of your screen another fastest lap from Nora Lampi. This has been like taking candy from a baby for the preacher. Not that he would ever do such a sinful thing. Oh, and I think Matt Wood's relatively close again. Oh,
once again, Alex.
That.
Wow.
Yeah. Is there something in the setup maybe that Alex could find that mechanical grip off of there better?
I would say it's probably a very good diff setup, because it really looks like that, because he just turns in very sharply and then just boom, off he goes.
Confidence in the throttle. It certainly seemed to be paying off in the slow corners, which keeps him safe and keeps the attack from Matt Wood at bay. Coming down to the end of this race, it's going to take something special from the number 6 to get up into that 4th position. Battle back. And, actually, let's go to 9th right now, because John Stevens on the outside of Suarez, unfortunately, puts himself now susceptible to Derek Roelveld. And it looks like no position is going to change, but not without trying.
Very respectful driving from everyone there, not trying to get too close to anyone. But I have to say also that Pablo, onto the turn 1, he took a very late move to defend himself from John.
Just stuck in these positions. That's Suarez in 9th, Stevens in 10th, and Roelveld in 11th. Apologies if I'm butchering that name. You probably know better than I do, Stefan.
It's all right. We can go with it.
Okay, he is Canadian, so we'll use that as an excuse. So as they work their way through the Schumacher S, still staying in order. Sometimes you can see passes into 11, but nobody close enough this time by, looking to set each other up coming out of Bilstein. Oh wow, Stevens did not get a good one. Still not going to offer anything to Derek. Just riding behind in the number 19. Not going to get a chance here into Vidal. Oh, and Adam Frazier in 7th place. Is that off by himself, or did he have some help?
Nope, off all by himself behind Flore. He tried to take too much speed into turn 2 and then overcorrected.
It was almost a good catch. He was drifting it for a while, but it was just not to be. Didn't lose a position. Everybody's pretty spread out at this point, so he'll just have to settle for 7th place. But why don't we jump up to our leader, because the preacher is now taking the white flag. That great start that he had off the line from 2nd place on the grid has essentially gifted him the win. It put him clear of the mess in the first corner, and since then it's just been a matter of him rifling off fast lap after fast lap.
And sadly, we will see at least one lapping maneuver in this race, and it will be sadly Barry West with his very damaged car.
Yeah, Barry has just been trundling along, losing position after position. We covered that a little bit earlier. That Ferrari not looking very healthy today. 4th place. Oh, we finally going to see a swap for positions? No, we're not. Millward around the outside, carrying the speed in the Haug Hook, once again denying the UK&I driver.
This once again shows that Millward has a very good setup for defending himself with a lot of on-throttle grip.
This has been a brilliant drive by Alex. It's not over yet. There you could still see another attack from Wood here. But I think we've got to go to Juha Norlampi. You said that we would see a lapped car. I'm not sure. It depends on if Barry West wants to give it up, because he might not want to do an extra lap. Norlampi doesn't seem interested in trying to overtake him here.
This is starting to look like a Canadian standoff.
All right, Norlampi's going to let him have another lap, but he's going to take the win here at the Nurburgring. QC Clapp going to get 2nd place solidly behind him, still coming around the final corner. That's how far back he was. And Nuno Moreira did give it a go to try and take 2nd place
Matt
away.
Wood trying to overtake Alex Millwall through Vidal around the outside. Oh, Millwall sliding. This is gonna take it over now to Matt.
But Matt usually gets the run off the corners. Can he get a good enough run. The line is so close. Oh, last lap pass for Matt Wood. Let's take another look at this. Brave stuff, because that chicane is so tight.
It really is, and it is pretty much just a one-line corner through that. So very great stuff from both of them to not hit each other.
Just had the slipstream. Defensive move to the inside from Millward. Wow, great stuff, because Millward was sliding through that corner, gathered it back together. As we come back to 9th position, this is the battle between Stevens and Pablo Suarez. Suarez is going to come away with it. Stevens behind. Rouvell followed by Gattuso, who caught them at the end. So no change in those positions. That's the last of our battles here as the rest of the cars come across the line. We're going to take a break here and collect ourselves. Some of the drivers are going to lick their wounds. Others are going to be celebrating. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to the Nurburgring. We just watched round 5 in the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship. When we get to the finishing order here, you might be wondering how in the world we wound up with things as they were. Well, it was an opening lap wreck in the very first corner that shuffled the field up something fierce. Johan Norlampi, though, took the win with ease because he was clear of the accident when it happened. QC clap. Also, a little bit of a breeze for him. He referred to it after the race as a stolen podium. I would agree with that, but even still, he earned it running consistent laps up there from 7th to 2nd. Nuno Moreira had to make a recovery multiple times, still managed a podium in 3rd. but he made it a little bit hard for himself after he was involved in that opening lap incident. Matt Wood finished in 4th, snatching that position away from Alex Millward. Millward could have had a podium, but just didn't have the pace to keep it up. He still gets a top 5. Not bad. Julian Fleuret, we said a slow but steady, but that's definitely not an insult. He ran from 6th to 6th, just kept out of trouble, kept the car steady, and did a nice job there. 18th to 7th for Adam Fraser, a horrible qualifying. Doesn't matter because he still gets himself a good finish in 7th place. Danilo Sanfilippo finishes in 8th behind him, and Pablo Suarez 9th from 15th on the grid. John Stevens takes a 10th, and then we go to the next screen with Derek Roelveld in 11th. Daniel Gattuso, the Italian, gets 12th, with Braden Cohen finishing 13th, Glenn Corrigan 14th, and Joachim Bodeker 15th. Those guys in a good fight for most of the race. Marco Sanfilippo finishes P16. Barry West, the last car to be able to finish in 17th. 2 DNFs today, Michel Vandenberg and Jerno Friesch. Our first one up is going to be 3rd place finisher Nuno Moreira. Let's pull him in and see what he thought of that opening lap incident, which caused him a bit of a headache of a day here at the ring. Nuno, let's start at the beginning. Obviously, you started on pole. Are you regretting what happened off the line? Because that really put you in the thick of it and set the tone for the race.
Hey guys, hello Joe. Yes. The the start of the race was a bit odd because I had I think after seeing the replay I can understand a little bit more because I had this longer first gear, and the guys behind me did, and you also had a shorter one. So they got to the end a bit faster than I was expecting. And then, well, that was like a touch. I've seen it and review it, and well, it happens. I had no chance to know that Gernot and Michel was trying to outbrake me because maybe they were fighting each other. I don't know. And I turned in thinking that I was clear, and there was a small touch. Then, fortunately, I was a bit lucky in the end because my car didn't have any, or didn't appear to have any considerable damage. So in that respect, I was a bit lucky there.
Yeah, it allowed you to try and climb back through, although it seemed like it took a few tries to get up to that podium. You were making progress and then found yourself off track again a few times.
Definitely. So when an incident like this happens, you have 1 or 2 laps to check if the car is fine or drivable, because my goal here was clear, was to win the race, and I had the pace to do it. So my psychological balance was a bit affected there. And then when I tried to push, I made a mistake at last chicane, which is really easy to do when you are trying to do that very quickly. And I was like, I don't know, 4th or 5th at the time. I had already recovered a few spots, and then all the way back, and I had to do it again. And I don't know, QC should play in the lottery. Maybe you were too a little bit. Maybe not the first prize, but you will get a nice prize today. So I don't know, a bit frustrated for not winning this one.
I can understand, considering you're running the limited schedule. Well, commiserations. Still impressive that you managed to get it up to 3rd, and hopefully it's a little less chaotic on the first lap next week because it's Bathurst.
Hopefully, you so well said. Hopefully. Well, see you next week, Joe. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
No problem. That was Nuno Moreira, 3rd place finisher. We do have our winner finally joining us. He's finished his celebrations. The Preacher came away with a dominant win. So as we grab hold of Juha, let's... there we go. Now we've got him in there. Bit of musical chairs here for a second with our booth. Juha, you got a great jump off the line. We heard that it was a different gearing between you and Nuno. It seemed like that made all the difference.
Yeah, that's true. So, and nice to hear you for a long time, since a long time. And I'm very pleased to have this kind of start there because I messed up with my qualification second lap. I couldn't do that, and that's not a good place to start the second place. But luckily, I had a good start, and I don't know what there happens after that.
So it was mostly you by yourself for the whole race. We saw though that you were setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Was that to try and prevent boredom and keep yourself focused, or do you even struggle with that when you lead so dominantly in a race like this?
Yeah, I was at first very surprised that I couldn't see Nuno and Gernot there behind me, and I didn't know actually what happened there because I was just turning in turn one, and suddenly they just vanished. And well, after that, I was a little bit thinking about if I did something and caused that, but let then that thought go away, and I just tried to go for relaxed pace, but I'm watching all the time those places behind me, and I couldn't concentrate there. And then at the lap 10, I just decided that now I must race my own race, and don't want to look back and who is coming and where are they coming. And then I just put laps together and try to stay on track, and I think my pace was very good.
I'd say it was good considering how many laps you went purple. I don't know if you've ever heard this American phrase, but did that feel like stealing candy from a baby today?
Well, I don't know, but I'm lucky now because I knew that Nuno was very fast here, and I think that he was only 1/10 slower with the broken car with the lap times and what the fastest lap times he did, and I think that we would have had a great battle, or I don't know if I could match his speed, but well, I was lucky. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's another race win for you here, as you won the first three, and now you get a fourth on the cards. Congratulations!
Thank you very much, Joe, and hope to see you next time. And I want to thank God and for everything that I can do here, and I'm very pleased now.
Thanks for joining us once again. That was Juha, our winner today. Up next, second place finisher QC Clapp, another driver who might have had a little bit of a boring race up there in second. So talk about, because we didn't really get to go back and look, QC, at the start from your perspective, since you started all the way down in seventh. What did you see with all the melee happening?
Oh man, this was such a stolen second place. Yeah, I screwed up qualifying. I honestly thought I had a chance to, an outside chance for pole position, because all week I was doing really good laps, and I think I had the second time of the practice sessions. So I was a bit disappointed that I screwed up my second lap and had a bad first lap. So I was seventh on the grid. And then after turn one, I was second. So yeah, what? Yeah, incredibly lucky for me, because on the inside a few cars touched. I think I even touched them and I had to avoid them. And on the outside of me was a car. I touched that car, and this Lotus 79 is very prone to damage. So the car felt good afterwards, and I was just couldn't believe my position. I was giving it everything, because I saw Nuno in the relative. He was Nuno was probably on the same speed as Juha this week. So I never set too comfortable. I kept pushing, because I knew if Nuno would pass the guys easy, then he had a chance to come back to second. So that wasn't that boring as it might have looked. I was really pushing most of the race till I knew I had half a second a lap to lose, and then I could slow down a little bit. But intense.
Yeah, it's a good thing you pushed as hard as you did, considering how far back Nuno was able to come. Now, you talked about how these cars are prone to damage. Chapman, notorious for building fragile cars, trying to save as much weight as possible. We saw a lot of differences between car setups out there. What was your method going into this one? Because it's such a track with a variety of corners out there. How do you go about trying to figure out what's the best way to make it comfortable?
Yes, this is a great track for setting up a car, because there is no perfect setup here. the first section you want a soft car, the chicanes you want a stiff car. And I've driven quite a few setups from guys like Nuno, Yua, and Gerno in the past. And the amazing thing is they all drive very different styles and very different setups. And it's only your own setup you can find those final few tenths with. The setups of the top guys are no guarantee to be fast in this car. I had a chance to drive the set from one of the top guys, but I just put it aside because my own set I was quicker with that. And it can be a long process, but in the end it's not as difficult as it might seem. The iRacing baseline setups are a good starting point. You just have to make sure that you've got the wings perfect, the gears perfect, and then the rest is a little bit of fine tuning, and you can be fast.
Fascinating stuff to hear how everybody kind of has their own way about things. One last one before we let you go. Next week is going to be Bathurst. Are you at all afraid going into that one?
Oh, that's a scary, scary trick. Just you can be in a flow and doing perfect laps, and then 1 millimeter on the wrong side of the curb, and you're in the wall the next corner. Yeah, it's very exciting. Looking forward to that.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing the action as well. Congratulations on the second place. A well-run race, sir.
Thank you, guys.
That was QC Clapp. They're our second place finisher today. We're going to close up here at the Global SimRacing Channel. And as we do right now, we're starting up another broadcast over with the Absolute Beginners. So make sure and go check them out. But in the meantime, a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back once again here on GSRC for coverage. We've enjoyed it ever since we picked it up a couple years ago. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today. Poor Adam, who had his troubles to deal with, as well as a big thank you to Stefan Schlacker, who jumped over at the last second to help us out, Amjad, and of course, Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget, if you head on over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button, you won't miss a moment here on the GSRC. The next race, we mentioned it, heading down to Australia. That'll be Bathurst, another notoriously tough track, just like the Ring. That'll be October 21st at 12:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, I should say. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.